Hi everyone, my name is Andrew. I'm a doctor of physical therapy here at Limitless Therapy Services, and I'm here to talk to you about deadlifts and how you can improve that movement. Alright everyone, so I'm going to be going over deadlifts today and a few common cues that I like to use with people, also a few mistakes that I see people doing when performing the deadlift, so then that way you can improve this movement and you feel confident doing it in the gym. And so the first thing I'm going to get into is the approach to the bar and kind of that starting position. This is something that I know a lot of people have a hard time with, either because of flexibility or maybe just the strength of being able to lift the bar from the floor. And so a few things you can do to improve this or to help out is to use blocks, maybe use weights that you can bring the bar a little bit up higher so it's closer to you. And then that way you don't have to reach down as far to get it and worry about starting in a poor position or a position that's not optimal for performing the lift. So when I get down to the starting position here, I'm gonna use an offset grip. Okay, I have one hand over and one hand under. And then the goal is that I should be able to generate a good amount of tension through my torso from the receiving position, okay? And so in order to generate that amount of tension that I'm talking about, I want you to think about pulling that bar in, okay? You're trying to pull the bar towards you, and then when you do that, it should engage your lat muscles and it should engage your abdominals a little bit so that you can generate tension and stiffness throughout your torso, okay? When you generate that stiffness there, you want to try to maintain that throughout the whole movement. Since we've gone over that receiving position, so I have one hand over, one hand under. I'm going with the conventional deadlift right now. I'm pulling the bar into my shins, okay? Pulling it into my shins. And so I've developed tension throughout my torso. Now that I've gotten the pulling part of this movement down, I need to focus on the pushing part of the movement, okay? So remember guys, the deadlift isn't just a pulling movement, it's a pull and a push, okay? You're pulling the bar in and you're pushing with your legs to come up. Now, one thing you want to remember on the way up is that your hips and your knees are coming together at the same time. A common mistake that I see is people will straighten the knees first and then their hips will be a little bit late, okay? That can cause you to use the low back a little more during the lift. It can lead to some discomfort there. So we want to try to avoid that, okay? And so when you're coming up and you're trying to get these two joints to come together as one, you really want to think about pushing into the floor. You're spreading the floor apart. You're generating a good amount of tension in your legs. And if you've watched our hip hinge video, you would kind of understand that pushing into the ground and squeezing the hips forward, okay? Almost like you're doing the mid position from a hip hinge and going into that ending part of it, okay? And so if you need more help with the hip hinge movement, you can look at our video on that, okay? And we explain that in more detail. But for now, we're gonna go into that conventional deadlift position, okay? So I have one arm over this way and then one hand over like that, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring the bar into me. So I'm trying to pull the bar in and I'm pushing down into the floor and allowing my hips and knees to come together at the same time, okay? So pulling the bar in, creating a lot of tension in the torso, and then pushing the floor down, squeezing the glutes, and trying to come to that ending position, making sure I'm not extending into the low back. I'm not overextending, but what I'm doing is I'm just locking out at the hips and then trying to squeeze the glutes, okay? And then making sure I'm keeping tension in the floor throughout the movement. All right, so a few key points to pay attention to that we did in this video. One is making sure that when you approach the bar, you're in a good position to generate tension in your spine, okay? You wanna make sure that you're pulling the bar into you so that you don't lose tension on the way up. that you're pushing into the ground, okay? And that you're squeezing at the glutes and trying to come up to that ending position. If you thought this video was helpful and want to see more like it, click subscribe or leave a comment below, or you could even follow us on Instagram for more content there.